Hey everybody, happy Sunday. It is Kit here, and we are back with another blanket update. It feels like a million years since I've touched the thing. I haven't, by the way, until this episode. My commission yarn has been sitting on top of it instead. Anyways, welcome back to another Dragon Yarns. We are going to continue reading Chicago today, as well as work on the blanket. I hope that we can get through this part without taking a million years, which requires me to get started. Because we got, a decent chunk of this section left. But, just to catch us up, basically. So, last time, Beast is done. Cooper, Winters, everybody made it out alive. Last time really focused on Green. He's in the shower. He's trying to compose himself, get back any semblance of dignity that he has, which he really doesn't. He's not doing good. He doesn't like losing control. It's kind of a shifter thing for at least some people. People like Cooper just kind of goes with the flow, but he's also a different sort of animal. He's a coyote. And Green is a tiger, but Green is also an alpha. He's a lot more dominant. And those who are dominant, especially those who are more of an apex predator, they tend to have more demanding, more controlling. They want every little thing exactly right. And Green is on another level on top of that due to bloodline, the curse. But, that, and also he has, unfortunately, a good amount of trauma when it comes to his family. That has been hinted at here and there. But he was essentially supposed to be a king. And he was raised to be a king, to take over one day, and but he wasn't like a spoiled brat. He was the complete opposite. He was basically supposed to be like the perfect son in a golden cage. And when he wasn't perfect, he was hurt. It's very unfortunate. If anybody's wondering, well, damn, I hope the parents get what's coming to them. Don't worry. Don't worry. There will be comeuppance eventually if I can ever get to that point in the writing. And one of the three characters is going to do it. I'm going to let you guess which one. Yes. Yes. Which one's the most problematic? Technically, you probably can't. Well, you might be able to tell who's the most problematic out of this, but then they become more problematic, which is just fun. Anyways, sorry, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but yeah. So he was thinking about it. He's trying to pinpoint what exactly went wrong, how he can fix it. Did Winters do anything? Like, what exactly procced the curse? What brought the beast on? And he cannot quite figure that out. I mean, it is fair thinking that it could have been Winters. Partly, but not partly. But the tiger, his own innate beast, not the cursed one, is saying it wasn't. So yeah. And he ultimately realizes he just needs to get out of Chicago. He needs to finish this, finish it, get home, and he's going to put himself through absolute hell. So that every single stress test he can think of, therapy, anger management, whatever it is, because he does not want to lose control again. He does not want to harm anybody like that again. Even if he doesn't really like Winters, which, again, fair, he doesn't want to kill her. He doesn't want to kill anybody like that. So, he's going to go home. He's going to get things together. He's going to get his shit sorted. And he is going to forget Winters, just as she said that he should. I am someone you will forget. Yes, you are. We'll see about that. So now we are 30 minutes later because now the next game plan's going. Yeah. From the episode before the last one. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a good time with this, and let's get into it. Hydration. Right. 30 minutes later, and the boys were on the road. Cooper was in the driver's seat, drumming out his fingers on the steering wheel to a beat only he could hear. Lauren, Ben, and Winters were still part of the group FaceTime call. Green's phone situated in a cup holder. A white wire plugged the phone into an external battery pack. No one other than Ben was talking, communicating with Winters what he needed her to do. Unlike Cooper, Green didn't fidget. His hands were relaxed, resting on his jean-clad thighs. One arm was on the door, and the other was on the center console. His long legs were as comfortable as he could get in the borrowed SUV with swapped plates they had gotten prior to entering Chicago, wanting no traces to lead back to home. His now dried hair was flat against his head, beach curls around his face as he stared out of the windshield, resting against the headrest. It was just before 6 a.m. and the early morning crowd was beginning to stir, but the city was still mostly quiet. Green hoped it would stay that way until they found Ryu and got out. Green needed to go home. Cooper broke the silence by blowing a raspberry, finding a nice spot to idle. The car blinker felt obscenely loud to Green's ears. Cooper had always been better at parallel parking than Green. Green needed to go home. A gnawing fatigue nibbled on his bones, mind, and soul. Inside the jungle, the tiger slept lightly, waiting to awaken at any moment should Green need him, the same fatigue clinging to its sullen pelt. The curse had taken a lot out of them. His muscles were tight, and a horrible energy frolicked inside. He had to force himself to stay still, to stay relaxed. Green needed to go home. Home was where he could take stock and figure things out. The 30 minutes since the shower had given him a little more clarity and a better grasp on the fatality of the situation. What is with me not liking ands at the moment? What the heck? It had been 75 years since that fateful blackout on the battlefield. 75 years since the last time the curse had come out to play. Now it was back. Was it a time thing? A rage thing? Magic thing? Green had no idea. He knew rage played some part in it, yet how much? But Green refused to put anyone else in danger. In order to keep his people safe, he might have to leave. The thought saddened Green, weeping sorrow stinging the back of his eyes, but he wouldn't allow tears to fall. His throat threatened to close in helplessness. That damn helplessness. It didn't grant him any peace. Davies. Baker. Gregory. Jones. Green wouldn't let his family end up like them. Not because of him, not because of a blood curse, not because of a lack of control or magic or... He wanted to rip something up, smash his fist into the car window, anything to alleviate the damn helplessness. I can't protect those I love. The only way might be to leave. Unbeknownst to Green, Cooper reached down and muted themselves from the group call. They were still perfectly able to hear what was going on, but the call wouldn't be able to hear them. It was the perfect way to have a private conversation. "Want to talk about it?" Cooper's left leg bounced up and down. Let me fix. Anticipating his friend's reply. Would Cooper get stony silence? A grumble. Likely not any sort of words. If there were any, it would just be a few. Grumble it was. one that distinctly said no. Cooper clucked his tongue twice, nodding, pursing his lips forward like a duck looking out the window. Okay. Okay. No problemo. Green's thoughts shifted, realizing his best friend sitting to his left might be a problem. Might. Cooper was his second in the chain of Alpha Command, his best mate. Cooper would take care of the pack in Green's absence. He had the strength and support to do so. Everything would be fine in Cooper's capable hands. The battle of the pronouns continues, y'all. If Cooper wasn't going to be an issue. Trouble was, the coyote loved being an issue. God, I love that. I forgot about this part. I love Cooper. Cooper clucked his tongue once, twice, 3 times. Every single cluck told Green just how much of a problem the coyote was planning on being. Right, well, said Coyote began conversationally. Green resisted the urge to close his eyes, pretending to be unbothered. I know you said you didn't want to talk about it, and don't worry. Cooper shook his hand towards Green in a placating gesture, the other drumming on the steering wheel. You don't have to, but well, I need to say just a few things, added into the organized laundry list of items in that big old noggin of yours. Cooper paused for a moment, clearly thinking. Ah, yes. Itinerary. That's the word. Your itinerary. Green took a deep breath, resisting the urge to rub his brow now. Itinerary? What? Is he finally using the dictionary Alex got him for Christmas? I forgot about that too. Cooper blew another raspberry, bouncing his chin up and down to his drumming fingers. So, whatever your itinerary is, add a +1. And not just that, but I don't want to do this hitchhiking thing. I want air conditioning and a heater. A car? A car would be nice. Something with legroom. Green kept his gaze trained out the window, realizing he was stuck in a small car with this jibber-jabbering buffoon, and there was no escape. Grin and bear it. And you gotta feed me, too. I don't want to just hunt all the time. It's too much work. A loud whine resounded through the car. Oh, by the mother. Why was this idiot his best friend again? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love to hunt, yes, but not all the time. Oh, and make room for field trips, because I don't want to miss my dive bar crawls. I like my beer. Where was I? Oh, right, food. I am not a cheap date. I eat a lot, but we can do buffets, like Chinese buffets with the dessert bars, but avoid the sushi, because I hate sushi. On and on and on Cooper went about food for at least a solid minute, making it clear that Green had to feed him wherever they went on his itinerary. Cooper kept talking, going even faster. And having a bed would be nice. Yes, we can camp under the stars, but ticks suck. They are a giant pain in the ass. I'm understanding that feeling right now, Green muttered under his breath, shaking his head in spite of his carefully relaxed composure. Damn you, Charlie. Damn you, man. Coop flashed a toothy crooked grin and kept on going. Plus, certain grasses can be itchy. I got sensitive skin. Green snorted at that lie. Prairie grass and whatever grass starts with a B, I don't know. Green sighed, giving in and rubbing his brow. He idly wondered if prayer might shut the fool up. And yes, tents and cots exist, and I know you are fine with those cheap shit things, but I am not. I want a proper bed with the frou-frou pillows, 1,000-count sheets, and the whole shebang, although you can skip the mints, I gotta watch my weight. Such an innocent smile on a tall, gangly man. Watch my weight, my ass. You eat burgers by the grill, fool. And there is another thing you got to factor into your itinerary. Cooper was as chipper as a woodpecker, smiling out at the slow morning traffic. Green's fingers ran through his hair, scratching his scalp. If he doesn't stop saying itinerary, I will lose my mind. Maybe we should have an itinerary drinking game. Just saying. Cooper just kept going, as cheerful as a cucumber. Internet? Duh. Green tilted his head to the roof of the car and puffed out a breath. Aggravation mixed with entertainment. That was Charlie Cooper to a T. Because you know the others are going to need it for their jobs and stuff. The coyote wisely chose not to look at the cutting side-eye Green was suddenly giving him, continuing to just talk and talk and talk. Who are these others, you might ask? Well, that's an excellent question, my young protege, and the others would be the pack, of course. Well, some of them, I am sure. You know Doc and Aggie are going to follow no matter where, and neither you nor I are brave enough to tell Aggie, no, she can't do something to her face, otherwise that wooden spoon is going straight for our hides. And speaking of Aggie, you know you're going to have to make her a proper kitchen. She will only tolerate the whole campfire gas stove thingy for so long. And Ben and Lauren will likely follow too. She's going to need internet, and Mother knows Ben needs his video games. On and on and on Cooper went, listing pack members that might follow or might not. Cooper. Green had enough. Hey, hey, hey! The sassy finger wiggle had Green rolling his eyes into the back of his skull. You said you didn't want to talk about it, so when you are feeling up to it, we will. But let's face it, Karen, it's not just us two dumbasses anymore. One dumbass? Green mumbled, sighing irritably. Two dumbasses? We're peas in a pod. A very tight-knit pod. Hell, we wore diapers together, Cooper said in mock horror, one hand over his heart. I'm positively horrified that you think you could leave me behind. Quite honestly, it's bad manners. The coyote had the audacity to sniff his nose in the air like he was a dignified lady at some sort of tea-time gossip. I wore diapers. You tore them off and ran around stark naked. Green tried adjusting his cramped legs, but there was no room. Any time now, Dom, that would be great, he silently willed the hacker genius, who was patiently explaining how to use a keyboard to a hopelessly confused Winters. Would a god even pay attention to a prayer from an atheist? Green was really considering trying it anyway. Cooper snickered, cackling like a hyena. It's more freeing on the bits that way. Cooper got one chortle out of Green, and the smirk grew on his boyish face. But anywho, he enunciated the T loudly. That's all I have to say on that, so just take all of that into consideration for your itinerary, and when you are ready to talk about it, we will. But only when you're ready, of course. His smirk only grew as Green threw his head back further into the headrest and growled, mostly good-naturedly. There was no anger, just aggravation, because damn it, Charlie. Not my headset just ending it all. There you go. Okay, hang on. There was no anger, just aggravation, because damn it, Charlie. He had already won, and Green knew it. They both knew it. You are a massive pain in the ass, Green puffed out of breath and looked down at the phone, glowering at the back of the silver case as if that would make things go faster. Cooper whistled a Dixie tune. And don't forget it, buddy bud. A sharp elbow jabbed into Green's left arm, but Cooper only cackled harder at the following abdomen smack. They shoved and pinched each other for a minute, leaving them both breathless and Cooper a wheezing, cackling mess as Green shook his head, the tiniest of smiles gracing his lips. That left when Cooper cleared his throat, a knowing look in his cheery eyes. Speaking of pains in the ass, Charlie, I am warning you. Maybe a head slap would reset the coyote? The following whine almost had Green giving that a go. Almost. You really should apologize to the little Fae for almost eating her, because that was really bad manners. You know, Charlie? Cooper was back to the finger drumming, much to Green's minute annoyance. I mean, you had her on the floor, saliva going everywhere, claws digging into her itty-bitty throat when she was looking like a tasty, bloody snack, and you were going to eat her, and not in a fun way. Cooper, for the love of mother, shut up. The car was filled with pig snorts and coyote whines from the cackling jokester. Green rubbed his face vigorously, resisting the urge to slap Cooper silly. Surely there was a stop button to the Cooper train of madness. Oh, that should be what I named this episode. Of course, he knew, he being Green, knew there wasn't. He'd been looking for it for over 100 years, and it hadn't shown up. Perhaps it was broken. Cooper tried to speak, but ended up in a fit of unmanly giggles, once again, with Green glowering at him. What? Sorry about that. Mom came in looking for Bandit. Cooper tried to speak, but ended up in a fit of unmanly giggles once again, with Green glowering at him. Oh, by the mother, you're pathetic, Green grumbled, shaking his head while staring at his limp, resting hands. Fine. Yes. I owe the Fae an apology. Or 50. How does one even begin to apologize for that? But she's gone after this. Green gestured at the phone. And good riddance, because she was very annoying. But helpful. The giggles had mostly subsided. Now Cooper just had truth and hiccups. But helpful. Gritting his teeth against the slow itch of guilt trailing down his spine, Green was reluctant to agree, but did nevertheless. Regardless, we are never going to see her again, and there's no contact info or, well, any way to reach out, so. His friend stared at Green for a long, telling moment. Are you really going to avoid a woman and avoid telling her that you are sorry for nearly killing her? Well, when Cooper put it like that, it sounded awful, didn't it? Does that sound okay? I can't tell if that sounds okay. I'm just gonna say, check it. I don't know if that sounds okay. If it doesn't sound okay, let me know. Or just let me know, I guess. Yeah, she did attack us, but she apologized quite a few times, actually, and she really didn't do a lot of damage, unlike you. Green's hand rose in the air, cutting off Cooper's sentence. Okay, I get it. I'm the bigger asshole here. I might be avoiding, but what do you expect me to do? Interrupt Ben's Computering 101 crash course in a very important mission to get us an address to rescue Adam's kid so we can leave this forsaken city? Or did you forget that's why we're here in the first place? Green was so sick of Chicago. No, I didn't forget, and no, don't interrupt. They listened to Winters for a moment. She sounded nearly hysterical and frustrated over what buttons to push on the computer screen. Ben was having her hook up the SSD drive she had gotten while he searched for the address. Well, Ben searched for the address. Winters sounded like she was about to say, to hell with the entire thing. Besides, an apology like that really should be in person, if Aggie has taught us anything. Green rolled his eyes. You mean you, 'cause you break hearts wherever you go. The The Quicksilver grin just made Green roll his eyes harder. Hey, don't be mad 'cause I get laid. You could too if you tried, dude. The nudge was a friendly, soft one this time. I'm not interested, thanks. Women were trouble. If the last day and a half had shown Green anything. Okay. Let's be honest here. Winters is not the right... I love her, but she is not the right woman to show for anything like that. Cooper shook his head, closing his eyes and getting comfy. I keep telling Aggie that, but I'm afraid she is going to hook you up on a blind date one of these days. Just so you are aware. Coop paused. She has the first one already all planned out. Where you are going to take the girl, what you are going to wear. She's going to play dress up. Snickering started again. Aggie wants to do your hair. She just needs you to find the right girl. Cooper raised his voice into a startling, accurate description of the Southern Belle's octave. That was not a good. I can do an Aggie voice, maybe, but not right now. Just pretend a nice, thick Southern drawl of Southern Belle. There you go. Just have fun with that. The thought of little sweet Aggie charging into his office with her flour-covered apron, a frying pan in one hand, a trusty wooden spoon in the other, and that determined glint in her eyes. Karen felt his stomach drop. You can't let her do that to me. Genuine horror filled the car, leaking from every pore he had. Every last one. Coop snorted, as if we'd let Aggie do anything. Not even Doc can get Hurricane Aggie to stop when she gets going, but I'm trying, Karen. I really am. All I am saying is, apologize to the woman when and if the opportunity arises. You promise me that and make it a good apology, and I will do my utter best to keep your blind dating experiences as far away as possible. Deal? Green on a blind date, now that would be funny. Green swallowed and took the outstretched hand, shaking on it. A deal was a deal between brothers. Fear lodged itself in the pit of his stomach, joining the hunger pangs as they made themselves known. He once again tried to stretch in the car, silently a curse in the small vehicle. Now that Cooper was finally quiet, having said all he wanted to say, Green did have one question. So what took you so long anyway, with the water? It hadn't worked out exactly like Cooper had wanted. Green knew that, but it had stopped him from making a terrible mistake. Hang on. Green knew that, but it had stopped Green. We're going to go with that for right now. From making a grave mistake. He couldn't begin to explain the gratitude he felt to Coop for that. The coyote growled, scowling up at the ceiling. Oh, you know, he began casually. Just a really shitty kitchen faucet. Green coughed once, looking over at his friend's annoyed expression. Cooper's eyebrows were stretched halfway up his forehead as he bared teeth to the upholstered car roof. I'm serious. It was awful. That tenant should sue the landlord. It's really unacceptable. It was like an old man who couldn't pee. It was just... Cooper made faulty faucet noises, or what Green assumed were faulty faucet noises, watching Coop's hands hang in the air over the steering wheel, clawing open and close with plenty of finger wiggles. It was awful. Cooper finished mildly, fingers now force choking the air and shaking back and forth. Good to know faulty kitchen faucets are your new nemesis, was all Green managed to say, silently mirthful, despite the topic and the awful memory that was contained within. He could imagine how frustrated Cooper had been, waiting on something that simple while Green was nearly killing someone. It was like an old man who couldn't pee. Seriously, where did Coop come up with this stuff? Ha ha ha, laugh it up, chuckle nuts, Coop muttered darkly, examining his fingernails with a sniff. When I am the overlord of the world, I hereby declare no kitchen faucets will ever be faulty. That did it. Green laughed until his eyes were wet, and Cooper tried not to laugh. He really did. But both ended up being teary-eyed, wheezing idiots stuck in a too small of a car, the stress of the last 36 hours finally being released in a small but much-needed way. As Green winded down from the surprise humor attack, Green listened to Cooper's fervent hiccups and resulting swear words, and Green knew that he was going to be okay. They were going to be okay, just like they had always been. Curse or not, Green would be fine, as long as he had this idiot with him. Peas in a pod, indeed. Ben's voice shook both men out of their warm camaraderie, the gravity of their situation popping the feel-good balloon and sending their feet firmly back down to earth. Alpha, Cooper. I have it. Green's stomach turned to stone. Cooper's eyes lost the cheerful sparkle and gained a dangerous edge. Inside the jungle, Green felt the moment the tiger woke up, stretching, waiting. Ready for a hunt? Ready for this to end. Green unmuted the phone. Sorry, I thought I was on mute this entire time, but I haven't been, thank God, okay. Green unmuted the phone, hearing the thunderous keyboard dance once more, seeing Lauren's set face as her eyes flickered from the propped-up phone to her husband's keyboard. Winters was there in another little square on the screen, standing motionless, not entirely centered in the picture. The phone was just put down to the side, but he could see her facial expression. Horror was set in grim lines on her illuminated face as those blue eyes steadily watched the screen in front of her. Where? Green said, an icy calm settling over the men. Cooper's hands were on the steering wheel and the gear shift, waiting. All he needed was a direction and they would go. Heaven nor hell would be able to hold them back. Adam had saved them, and therefore they would save Adam's daughter. There isn't an address, it's not a clan holding, but she is there, I can see the security camera. Lauren's jaw tightened on the phone screen. Winter's eyes flashed with a dark anger, one that matched Green's silent rage. Inside the jungle, the tiger snarled. She's alive, Lauren reassured them as Ben quietly seethed, searching for the address, a name, anything. She looks to be in fairly good shape, all things considered. Breathing evenly, Winters leaned down, getting closer to the computer screen, propped up on her elbows. Yeah, okay. Aha! Got something, Ben said triumphantly, hurrying to speak, but Winters beat him to it, her tone carefully neutral, but her eyes gave her away. Surprise and cool, simmering anger. Elevate. For God's sakes, she was there the entire time? Despite her anger, the question was asked with a tone as soft as petals, lilting in the air like a lullaby with only a hint of distinct outrage. Green half expected her shadows to bob around her, but with the limited phone view, he couldn't see anything. Yes. Ben sounded slightly confused, but kept talking. Green, she's somewhere in a basement under this elevate. Apparently it's a club of some sort. It's not owned by a vampire or anyone of the clan, rather a business associate. It's apparently a favor for a favor sort of thing. It's clear they didn't want her kidnapping connected to them, given how deep this information is. There is no address, but I take it, you know where it is? Ben could hear the car blinker turn on as Cooper put the vehicle into drive. Yes, Green answered, watching the coyote's jaw clench as he checked his blind spot before pulling into traffic. We were there for a short time last night, before everything took a turn for the crazy. Ah. It was a loaded but Ben didn't ask any further, and no one offered. The techie cleared his throat. Well, I'm glad you are at least somewhat familiar with the layout then, because she is in the basement under multiple locks and keys, which I thankfully have access to the key codes. He paused. However, according to these building schematics I have right here, there is no basement for the Elevate nightclub. Copper spoke up. Hi. Copper. Apparently Cooper's name is Copper. Cooper spoke up as they slowed down for a red light, the eerie red glow ominous against the early morning fog hiding the tall buildings that surrounded them. Not even the schematics registered with the city? Ben clicked and hit a few keys. That's the schematic I have in front of me. Lauren peered over his shoulder, sharp eyes narrowed. Winters asked a question, voice pensive and cautious. Is that illegal? Very, Lauren answered, squeezing her mate's shoulder lightly. The woman said nothing more, but her eyebrows creased inwards just slightly. Green had the distinct feeling that Winters was paying very close attention to whatever it was Ben was doing on the screen, scrutinizing whatever information she could. The familiar, ever-burning curiosity rose, but he stomped it down, relishing the burn of irritation instead. His curiosity about Winters was illogical. His irritation at being curious? Logical. It'll be fine. We'll find it, Green assured them, his eyes now on the road. He recognized a few signs already, knowing the nightclub to be nearby. The corner with the red grocer sign and cigarette pop-ups, a now unlit cookie shop sign, the 6 dumpsters in the alley next to it, with 2 sleeping homeless folks in the crevices with their small tents. Chicago was certainly a cramped, loud, and filthy city. Green couldn't wait to leave, and as he thought about where they were going, his heart leapt with hope. Perhaps, within the hour, they would be heading home. Finally. Nothing more was said on the drive to Elevate. The sky turned from dark blue to a dull periwinkle, the city's smoggy fog doing its best to obliterate the early morning sky. The traffic was nearly non-existent once they reached the modern black and white concrete building, the once bright neon pink Elevate sign now dead and dark. The parking lot in the alley around the back was empty, save for the night before's trash tumbling out of the overflowing dumpster. Green looked at Cooper, their gazes locking for a single moment. The unspoken sentence was there, lingering in the air. Let's finish this. The car doors opened and shut in near unison, both men grimacing at the filthy stench lingering in the alley, one of urine, vomit, garbage. All the wonderful sense of a back alley in a city. Both men scanned the alley 3 times, each tuning into their respective hypersenses, but there wasn't a soul around, not even a homeless bum or someone walking their dog. Perfect. The back door was locked with a keypad, but Ben thankfully was able to provide that code. The club was eerily silent, seemingly massive with without the teeming, sweat-covered bodies thriving on the expansive dance floor. Their footsteps seemed too loud, sneakers lightly slapping against the gleaming concrete floors. The cleaning crew had done a good job visually, but both men could still smell the messes from the nights before. Is there any info on this basement, Dom? Cooper asked quietly, wincing as his voice echoed throughout the large concrete box. He scanned the room, the floor, the many elevated platforms for tables and booths, the walls with tasteful artwork, small black archways leading into hallways, and the ceiling with glossy tiles, looking for any cameras, alarm systems, or anything that might point to somewhere saying, "Hey, secret basement is right here." Cooper found nothing of the sort. No, Ben sounded frustrated. You would think there would be something, but there's nothing, just a series of codes and random names combined with the word key. A small little list, like a grocery list. Lauren hummed. Miss Winters, do you have any idea why they would be so secretive about this? Green's hackles raised slightly, but he stamped them down. Winters took a moment of consideration before answering slowly. Likely they do not want the Paladin to know about this, if he is who I think he is. Reluctance and unease wavered in her tone, and she offered nothing else. Who is he? Lauren asked as Cooper turned his nose into the air, beginning to sniff. Green backed up to give him space. Cooper was the best tracker in the pack. If anyone could catch a scent, it was him. Someone like me. It wasn't an answer, but once again Winters offered nothing else. Lauren didn't speak up again as Green's lip curled in the camera angle, but his eyes were steady on the coyote, who was slowly meandering around the club. Should you shift? It was a short and terse question. Cooper shook his head. I think I can get away without that right now. The vampires do like coming here a lot, but I'm just trying to sort through the various scents right now. It's mildly overwhelming. Mildly was a nice way of putting it. His senses were on complete overload. Easily years of scents were assaulting his nose all at once. Blood, sweat, urine, vomit, odious perfumes and cologne, Febreze, hairspray, alcohol, fragrant bar food, humans and vampires. It was almost too much. Almost. Despite wolves having the superior noses over coyotes, Cooper was born with a unique sniffer. Some might call it a blessing, others magic, but most of the time he just hid it growing up, at least until he and Kieran ran away and Cooper got to be free. Whatever the reason may be, his nose rivaled that of the worst elephant, for better and worse. Most of the time it was the worst, but sometimes it was the best. Nyeh. Gotta fix something. Okay. Minutes ticked by as Cooper walked around, sniffing the furniture, the air, the bar, every single back door, the back rooms, and the walls. Come on, secret basement, where are you at? He murmured to himself once. Green gave him space, watching him for any sign. Coop kept at it, eventually crawling on his hands and knees, sniffing. He knew Ryu was a shifter. She was taken around 2 weeks ago-ish. Shifters had distinct scents, as did everyone, well, except for humans. Humans tended to smell like whatever they hung out with, but vampires smelled of blood, death, and decay, along with some weird, sickly herb he couldn't identify. Shifters smelled of strong nature magic and whatever animal they were. Witches smelled addicting, and that scent overpowered the rest. The few demons he had encountered over the years had smelled of brimstone. As for Fae, he hadn't met any, except maybe Winters, so perhaps that didn't count. Eventually, a scent did stick out to him amongst the overwhelming odors and decay of vampires, but it was not that of a shifter. Sorry if you can hear my dogs. No, it was peanut butter and jelly on cheap white bread. Specifically an Uncrustable, and it made his stomach rumble. The scent was old, but he also smelled Eggos, but not the warm, yummy scent of them coming out of the toaster. No, it was that unmistakable cold freezer Eggo scent. And a pizza Lunchable. Cooper followed the trail, coming to a spot where apple juice had spilled on the floor. Couldn't have been but 3 days ago, mixed with cleaning fluid. All of the food scents led to the same spot in the middle of the floor, near the back of the club, where fake wooden linoleum was placed down over the concrete on the fancier booth section. He looked at the spot acutely, practically laying on the floor, nose directly over a spot where vampires had touched many times over the years. It reeked of the bloodsuckers. And he could see the slightest finger grooves of a hidden trapdoor. It's here, Coop announced, putting his fingers where so many vampires had and grunting with the effort it took to lift the slab of concrete. Green came quickly and helped him lift it, ending with both of them looking at a set of metal steps going down into a small concrete room. Green turned the FaceTime camera to show the others. Cooper, Lauren said, her awe tilting her voice higher, your nose never ceases to amaze me. How did you find that? Coop got to his feet, rubbing his nose vigorously. It was the food. Lunchables, PB&J Uncrustables, apple juice, and cold Eggos. It's like they raided my fridge at home. Someone get this man a better diet. Ben pressed his lips together on the call screen, trying not to laugh. Lauren closed her eyes and shook her head with her eyebrows raised. Green just looked at Cooper. His friend took a step down into the hole, looking back at Green mildly. What? Green narrowed his eyes, pulled the coyote out of the hole, and went in first with a pointed stare. Interesting. Coop rolled his eyes and lifted his hands up. I'm telling Aggie. The Southern chef was going to have a heart attack with his friend's eating habits. Green was looking forward to the chaos that would ensue. Cooper growled softly. Backstabbing traitor. Dom, what can we expect? Green asked quietly, getting back to the task at hand and listening to his surroundings acutely. He heard no breathing nor heartbeats. Green smelled nothing but death and the odors of the club. All he could see was black storage boxes mixed with cardboard boxes in a small, dark, but clean concrete room at the bottom of the stairs. Ben sighed once, a heady sigh full of frustration. There's nothing here, Green. He stuttered over the term alpha, realizing Winters was listening in. Just a list of codes and keys. Oh, wait a minute. Oh. Hang on. Go back and change the first Cooper a few pages up. That's right. See, you know, how many times am I going to have to go through and read this, and I'm still probably going to find errors? I swear, at this point, like, I just don't need to release this. I don't need to publish this. This is bad. Just a list of codes and keys. The first is a storage key, then numbers 5578, followed by 0029. Sorry, my family keep walking in. Followed by 0029, then the word key, another series of numbers 775691, and right 3, left 6, right 5. It's like a grocery list. Ben had a few more keys, but I did disable the alarm systems and the security system, which looks very comprehensive. Green was sure it was. With the amount of secrecy surrounding this entire ordeal, what with the club, the paladin, the private servers, Adam, Ryu, it didn't surprise him at all that the secret basement would have an obscure grocery list of codes. Green just hoped it would be easy to figure out. The steps creaked under his and Cooper's combined weight as they descended, cautiously looking around the small cramped space as they made their way down. There was a single naked light bulb fastened to the ceiling, but they did not pull the cord. The room was so small it didn't take long to find a small door hidden behind a stacked boxes. Green looked for the key as Cooper pulled out his lockpicking set, both quietly getting to work. If Green found the key first, great. If Cooper picked the lock first, even better. It was a system that had worked for them for a long time. Ben quietly typed and clicked. Lauren waited for any sort of information, a sign, anything she could do, rubbing her maid's shoulders as she looked into the phone. Winter's eyes never left the computer screen in front of her, glazed over and worried. She chewed on her bottom lip absent-mindedly, but no one said anything. The quiet typing and clicking stopped when Cooper opened the door, pushing it inward slowly, looking down a single-file concrete hallway. Cooper's heart stopped in his throat. Dom? Green's breath hitched in his throat as he peeked down the dark hallway. Hang on. Over Cooper's head. Green's heart thudded in his chest as his blood pressure skyrocketed, unease coursing throughout his system. Did that security system say anything about turrets? Both he and Cooper quickly got behind boxes and away from the door. Lauren's head shot to the phone. Ben stuttered, thunderous typing now being heard. What? No. But everything is off. Does it look active? Give me a minute. No lights were on. There were 3 of them, Cooper muttered, breathing out of his mouth and stretching his neck. What is a turret? Winters asked, glancing over at the phone for a brief moment. Green didn't answer. No one did for a moment until Cooper blew out another breath. An automatic gun set up with a mind of its own. In this case, bolted to the ceiling in 3 different places in this hallway. Her eyes widened momentarily. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Haven't you ever watched a movie before? They are pretty common. Or in video games, you know? Like Call of Duty and stuff. Cooper was nervous. Neither of them could outrun a bullet, much less 3 gun turrets all pointed at the door. Why were things never simple? Ah, I caught an error. Ha ha ha. Contraction. Winters rubbed her face once. I do not know what those are. What? Movies? Video games? Or Call of Duty? Cooper gave Green a look which clearly said, "This chick is weird." Green grimaced once. "Okay, found them. They have them coded as serial numbers. They are off, so you can go." Ben's voice was shaky, but he was certain. Lauren's voice quaked, but had an undercurrent of strength. Both Cooper and Green felt her and Ben's support rallying through their bond. Through the pack bond, I should say. The pair loaning them strength that energized their tired bones. "Be careful." Green went first, handing the phone to Cooper while shoving his hand into his friend's chest, pushing him back into the boxes. The hallway was long and the floor clear. There were no plates or little tripwires that he could see in the darkness. The 3 black turrets had no lights. Behind them was another door. The turrets didn't look like they could swivel backwards. They appeared fixed. Green trusted Ben. But Green was going to go first, in case anything went bad. Pronoun game. Okay, and I am aware we are reaching the hour mark, but like, really, we have maybe 10 pages left, so I'm just gonna power through. Hey, it'll be a good session for me with the blanket at least, so yeah. Cooper, if this goes bad, go home and regroup. That's an order. Cooper flinched, feeling the power of the Alpha command, and it was one he could absolutely not disobey. Cooper hadn't felt like anything like that come from Green ever. It was absolute and final. None of Green's pack could defy it. Oh my god, I really hate pronouns, apparently. The coyote's eyes glowed yellow, but he said nothing, giving the stiffest, faintest nod. Lauren audibly breathed on the other side of the line. The order was given. There was only one thing left to do. Green ran. His legs were long and his strides quick. Muscles coiled in his thighs, sending him further and faster. Inside that jungle, the tiger roared, that roar giving him a burst of speed that only a close-knit bond with a beast could give. Green was fast, but he wasn't faster than a hail of bullets. No amount of magic could make him bulletproof. Thankfully, he didn't have to be. Green made it to the end of the hallway uninjured, pulse racing, lungs gulping down air, sweat beading on his forehead. The turrets were off. There wasn't a single booby trap. Green had made it. Cooper and the phone gang peered down the hall, relieved there had been no bullets. "It's clear," Green called out, standing upright with deep breaths. Cooper jogged down the hall, casting a disgusted look at the turrets. "You know, maybe we should just..." He trailed off. Cooper trailed off, ripping a hanging wire out of every single turret, waiting for them to do something. They did nothing. You know what? It was worth a try. Cooper joined Green in staring at the keypad on a thick metal door. "Ben, what's the code for this door?" "Try 5578, Lauren answered. Her voice quieted as the typing got louder. "The chat rooms are picking up in traffic." Ben's focusing on what that is about. I was missing that is. Ben's focusing on what that is about, but I have the grocery list. Green punched it in and the door swung in. "Thank you, Lauren." Once again, Green went in first, looking at a concrete room with shelves. The shelves were lined neat and orderly with black duffel bags, bags of pills, white powder, all sorts of illegal stuff. It was also temperature controlled. A small fridge and freezer was plugged in the corner, by another door with another keypad. "Cooper, I feel like I am in one of your spy movies right now," Green grumbled, making his way to the door. Cooper snorted. "Yeah, but it's not as fun as they make it out to be." Lauren shook her head on the other side of the phone. "Try 0029. The Paladin will be here within an hour. That is what the chat rooms are worried about. Looks like they are trying to hide things." "Hurry," was all Winters said. Green didn't need to be told twice. He was more than ready to be home, with Ryu safe and sound back with her worried father, far away from vampire stench, city filth, the Paladin nonsense, and her. This code worked as well, and the room beyond that was a series of concrete hallways set up in a 4-way crossing. There were many doors here. Green snarled softly, itching with irritation. Cooper lifted his nose and gave a deep whiff. I got this. The Lunchables will lead the way. Although grape juice, yuck! Who drinks that? No self-respecting kid I know. Cooper sniffed and sniffed, leading Green down the left hallway, past 7 doors on the right, and stopping at the 6th on the left. He tapped the door, he being Cooper. Cooper tapped the door, which had another keypad. This place is sketchy as hell, Green. I feel like I'm in a military compound. Lauren, another code, please? Green didn't respond to Coop, irritation curling his toes. Anybody else getting irritated with how many codes there are? Damn! Her response was prompt but urgent. 775691. Hurry. Something's wrong at the data farm. You both may be found soon. Green looked back at the phone. Winters? Lauren put a finger to her lips. Mute out, Cooper. We are going to do that too. Winters doesn't know how to work the phone, and the vampires are there right now, checking. She's hiding under the desk. The code is 775691. Then Lauren was silent. Muted. Cooper muted their phone, then cursed, staring at a black square that was once Winters. Shit. Shit. Shit! Cooper cursed as Green punched in the code, peering into a tiny room with a covered manhole. This isn't good. Despite the worry clenching his insides, Green was gruff, gripping the thick grate and shoving it over to reveal a ladder going down, further into the gritty bowels of Chicago. She'll be fine. She can go invisible and has no shadows. Lauren said she was in hiding. It wouldn't be good if the vampires found the phone, but they could hang up quickly, and he knew Ben was working on covering the computer tracks. All he and Cooper could do was focus on finding Ryu, so that was what they were going to do. Nothing more was said, both of them staring down the black hole dubiously. They couldn't see anything other than an ominous ladder going down into pitch black darkness. The men looked at each other. Green crouched, then sat on his butt, scooting until his feet touched a ladder rung. Cooper put the phone that was muted in his front pocket. Then both quietly went down the ladder, with just the echoing sounds of their footsteps, nearly silent breathing, and quiet drip, drips of water to accompany them. This ladder felt like it went on forever. It got colder the further they went down. The smell of sewage was stronger here, and Green's concern. Hey, my headset wants to cut out because it thinks I'm not using it. That's a good time for a drink break. Okay, where were we? Oh, there. The smell of sewage was stronger here, and Green's concern and rage only grew, thinking of a scared young girl stuck down here amidst the city's odorous filth. If he ever got his claws into the bloodsuckers' necks. Finally, at nearly 30 feet below the room, above Green's feet. Oh, at nearly 30 feet below the room above Green's feet. Oh! Okay. I think a comma is needed. Yeah, okay, that's much better. Okay, finally, at nearly 30 feet below the room above, Green's feet hit damp concrete. He scooted backwards to give Cooper space to get to sturdy ground, and both looked around their new environment. It appeared to be some sort of old access tunnel, perhaps for the sewage drains. And it was small, damp, dirty, and reeked of fear, decay, death, sewage, and faintly for Green, but stronger for Cooper, grape juice. The fear was the strongest, pulsing steadily beyond a rusting steel door, one that was bigger than a king-sized mattress. It was a safe door. The safe dial was right there, and neither of them knew the code to get inside. Green took a deep, calming breath. He wanted to rip the damn thing apart, but he couldn't. So Green took deep, calming breaths, each hit of damp air bringing him the stench of fear, despair, and misery. Cooper wordlessly pulled the phone out and carefully looked at the screen. Lauren's face was there, but she shook her head, putting a finger to her lips. He nodded and put the phone back in his pocket, eyes flicking to Green. He silently shook his head, and Green's breathing exercises continued. Lauren? Green reached through the pack link that was flickering bright in his mind. A silvery green rope filled with strength, love, and support. Filled with Pack. Yes, Kieran? Her voice was steady and reassuring in the midst of the stressful situation, amidst all of the fear and despair. There's a safe in front of us. Is there something on that grocery list? I believe you said so, but I don't quite remember. Yes. There is only one item left on this list, and it is right 3, left 6, right 5. I hope it works. I hope so too. Thank you, Lauren, for everything. A small flare of glowing warmth made the bright rope just a little brighter. Of course, be safe. Come home. That was the plan. If all went according to the plan. Cooper kept an eye out, suspiciously eyeing the ladder above and the dark tunnel around the corner as Green approached the safe door. The dial felt cold to his warm fingers, but buttery smooth as he carefully tested the knob. Right 3. He didn't know much about safes, but Green had seen the Italian job with Cooper a few times, and if this safe was anything like those, then he had only one shot. Nerves jumped in his stomach like hopping frogs, each hop harsher than the last. Seriously, who put a child inside of a safe? Focus, Green, he told himself sternly, getting on one knee to better situate himself. He was going to take it slow and easy, just like the woman in that film. Green didn't need a stethoscope to hear the inner machinery, thankfully. The minuscule clicks. I don't know if that... Hang on. I can't tell if that's a good way or not. Sometimes it's hard because it's like reading it and seeing it written are two different ways. You know what I mean? Of like taking in information. And is it the right way of writing it down? Is it the right way of saying it? Anyway. Right 3. 1. The phone inside Cooper's pocket began to make noise, like that of murmuring voices. 2. Behind him, Cooper froze and pulled the phone out, tilting the camera to show the concrete ceiling. 3. Was there supposed to be some sort of click to let him know that he had done something correctly? Because that click sounded no different than the rest. Cooper held his breath as Green began to turn the dial to the left, the phone letting out an ominous door creaking. 1. Lauren covered her camera with a sticky note. 2. Cooper scooped a bit of questionable muck and covered his camera sufficiently. 3. Soft footsteps could be heard. 4. Silence. 5. More silence. 6. Green's heart rate thudded obscenely in his ears. Again, no click. Please let me be doing this right, God. Any God? As Green began to rotate the dial back to the right, the footsteps started up again, this time in a hurry and going away. 1. Why were they leaving? 2. Did they find nothing in the room? 3. Not even the phone? Had Winters taken it with her? 4. But if she had, then how could they have heard everything? Unless invisibility meant staying in that space, but that didn't explain the elevator. 5. Focus. 6. Did it work? There were no clicks, but instead a mechanical noise boomed faintly inside the door. Both men looked at each other, then at the door. They both quietly swore they could hear the faintest little whimper somewhere beyond, but neither dared to question the other. Impossible, treacherous hope flared up and warmed their tired souls. Could it be Ryu? Had they actually found her? Had they made it? Could, at long last, a father and daughter be reunited? Could this nightmare be over, finally? Could they go home? His insides quaking and muscles clammy, Green rose to his feet. With Cooper's help, together they turned the large metal-worn handle. More mechanical whirrings on the inside, and the door unlatched. Green to brown eyes met. Both men nodded, and they pulled the door open together. Using the door as a shield, Green peeked his head around first, daring to hope, daring to have optimism. The relief hit the top of his head and cascaded down to his tippy toes. leaving Green positively giddy. The room beyond was small, dank, and dirty. Made almost entirely of concrete, but with just enough ventilation for air, there was no light for the small figure to see by, huddled against the wall in the pitch black. She was small, with knees hugged to her chest, whimpering quietly and terrified, with wide, fearful black eyes and matted black hair plastered to her forehead. She sat on a blanket, forgotten grape juice within her reach. Found her. Green's relief spread to Cooper, which then spread to Lauren and Ben, connected as they all were. Green placed his hands in front of him, Cooper quickly rounding the door to do the same sight. What? Placed his hands up in front of him. Oh. Okay, I think I need to... Hang on. Clarify, I guess. So, like, in my head, what I was seeing was, like, him putting his hands up, like, hey, we're not gonna hurt you. You know what I mean? Like, that general gesture. You know, hey, it's okay, we're not gonna hurt you. That's what I was trying to convey. I don't think I did it quite nicely. What the hell was I on? Huh? Okay. Green placed his hands up in front of him, Cooper quickly rounding the door to do the same, a familiar relief crashing his nervous system at the sight of... Yeah, see, I think it was like 3 a.m. when I was writing this the first time, but I swear I've read it once before, and this did not... Okay, it's fine. A similar relief crashing Cooper's nervous system at the sight of her. Bruised, battered, scared, but alive. Hey, Ryu, Coop said quietly, entering the small room right behind Green. Your dad sent us to come get you, kiddo. Green smiled kindly, his long strides reaching the little girl first. Hot, flashing rage tightening his gut as he saw what shape she was in and the chains that bound her ankles to the wall. Just sit tight. We're gonna get you out of here and back to your dad, okay? Green offered a fist for the little girl, and she sniffled, nodding and fist-bumping it back. All right, there you are. I'm Kieran, and he's Coop. Green jerked his head back to his friend. Speaking of Coop, can you pick these? Cooper came forward, looking at the lock and shaking his head. Suddenly, the phone began to make noise in his pocket, freaking Ryu out as Green turned back to look at Cooper. Green, Cooper, problem, come in. Not another problem, Dom said, and that was all that was needed for the sweet taste of success to begin to fade. Cooper yanked the phone out of his pocket, hit unmute, and walked back to the door, suddenly paranoid about it closing on them. Green, you got this? Yeah. Green turned to Ryu. Okay, Ryu. Don't worry, we are getting you out of these. But it will have to be in a little bit, so we just gotta take them with us, okay? He helped her stand up, noticing how shaky and uncoordinated she was. Okay. But how? Tear streaks on its dirty face, wide eyes staring up at him imploringly with such a haunting innocence. It took everything Green had not to hug her, to give her some comfort in this awful place. She didn't know him, so she may not like him. She may not like that. So instead, Green gave her the most reassuring smile he could and tugged on the blanket gently until she stepped off of it. Well, you are going to cover yourself with this, and I, Green began, vigorously shaking out the blanket, smelling urine and other filthy things on the offending fabric, am going to rip these chains out of the wall. Ryu gasped. You can do that? I damn well better. Inside the jungle, the tiger gave a menacing snarl, and a ferocious rage hit their shared connection. Strength, ruin, rage. The tiger would give Green everything he needed. They were one, and as one, they both wanted the one thing. That wall broken, those chains ripped off, and that little girl freed. I can do that. It was not a statement. It was a promise. So as Green began the arduous process of ripping thick chains off of a closed metal hook and a concrete wall, Cooper handled Dom and the problem. Dom, what's the problem? Cooper's eyes scanned the darkness, trying to calm his heartbeat in his ears so he could hear anyone coming. Could they escape via the sewers, or should they go back the way they came? Somehow they are coming to the club. They are literally sending anyone available. They got tipped off. Ben couldn't type fast enough or click quick enough. The tech was on a mission, but all he could do was watch disaster strike in slow motion, stuck as he was behind his screen. Winters piped up, startling Cooper. Wait, what? What do you mean, going to the club? She sounded worn out but scared, her voice a few octaves too high. The phone squeaked and clattered as it was dragged across the desk and propped up, her worried face peering anxiously at them all. From below. From below the edge of the desk, I guess. Does that make sense? She's like, she was under the desk, and then she kind of pops up, but she's not to her feet yet. Does that make sense? Ben spoke tersely, every bit of his attention on the computer. Not sure how, but they are mobilizing everyone to the club. Winters, unplug those SSDs like we discussed. They are done. I need to focus on the chat rooms and what can be done. Cooper, I am mapping out the sewers, but the problem is where you are doesn't appear to exist on any city map, so you would be going blind. Is there a way out from your location? Maybe if you can find me a point of reference I can guide you through, or take our chances with going back through the club. Cooper finished for Dom, feeling the pressure of the situation build up in his spine. I haven't seen the sewers, Dom, and I won't check until I know Green and why you are out. Coop glanced over at his friend and the kid, noticing how the chains were still on the wall, but maybe it was wishful thinking. The chains did look like they were bending on that hook. He's working on it. I'm holding the safe door open, just in case. Lauren spoke up. Good idea. Winter's voice was quiet and small. Would you like assistance? Something in her voice was wavering, an emotion that no one could name. In her hands were the SSDs containing the illegal information she had been promised. Slightly shimmering blue eyes looked down into the phone through lowered eyelashes. No, you've done enough. Cooper blew out a breath, rubbing the back of his neck. But thank you for everything, he added quickly, noticing the slightest flinch in her expression, just the barest twitch of her drooping eyes. For better or worse, Winters had been a huge help to them. Without her, they wouldn't have gotten this far. But now it was time for them to go their separate paths, their separate ways. Their paths never cross again. No debts, no hard feelings. Just a promise to forgive and forget. Good luck, Winters, Cooper said finally, watching as she licked her lips and pressed them together. Watching as Winters pressed her lips. Or whatever. Right. Good luck, shifter number 1. Get out of Chicago. Get home safe. With that, Winters was gone. Cooper swallowed once, blowing out a breath. Actually, let me, Okay. Alright. In case anybody's wondering, my note was to explain exactly what happened to the phone. And I don't know if I actually said anything. I don't know if I have to think about it. Probably if I don't mention what happened to it, probably she just left it there. She doesn't know what the hell to do with it. Well, actually, no, she might be able to hit the red button. She might have done that, but she wouldn't have taken it with her. Cooper swallowed once, blowing out a breath as he looked back to see Ryu under a blanket, trembling like a leaf as Green heaved and strained. Wildly looking around himself in the darkness, Cooper couldn't hear anything. No one was approaching, nothing was creeping in from the darkness of the small space, but he still didn't leave the open, safe door to help Green. Cooper was fast, but vampires were faster. It would be game over if they got shut in. Come on, Green. Dom, what if we went through the club again? Coop asked, scratching his sweaty, itchy scalp. To go through the sewers may work, and it may not. With Dom being unable to guide them? Stuck underground in a series of sewage tunnels in an unfamiliar city? No keys, no guide, no eyes. No nothing. Sure, they may lose the vampires, but the last time they had been underground anywhere had been in France many, many moons ago, in a different time period. And those catacombs had sucked. This coyote much preferred being above ground. Thank you very much. Ben's eyes raked over the phone, piercing Cooper with a slightly wild, worried stare. Cooper, it's a one-way shot from where you 3 are. If they go into the basement before you get out... Ben didn't finish his sentence. They all knew what that outcome would be. For one heart-wrenching moment, Cooper heard screams and gunfire. Planes flying overhead in smoky skies, loud booms and crashes in the distance covered by fog. Smelled the gunpowder, smoke, fire, and death. So much blood. So much fear. Heartbeats pounding, and not just his own. Bullets streaked through the air, piercing flesh and gunning down the men around him. His comrades. His brothers. With difficulty, Cooper pulled himself back to the present, nostrils flaring as he breathed deeply, relishing the sharp stench of sewage. It was the only thing separating him from those flashbacks. War was hell. It was never too far away, the memories always lingering on the fringes of his mind, reminding Coop of a time he would rather forget. He took a moment to clear his throat and mind, focusing back on the task at hand. If we can get out of the basement, what would our nearest exits be, and what about camera coverage? Usable defensive positions? Ben studied the club through the cameras he had access to. There are plenty of booths for cover. Not sure how well they will handle bullet fire, though. I am unsure if he can topple any of those tables or if they are bolted into the floor. Unfortunately, the nearest exit is the back door. If you can navigate the seating and the booths to your right upon exiting the basement hatch, you might be able to get to the back hallway and the fire exit, which leads to an alleyway behind the club. It's fenced in, but you can hop that fence. It wasn't a great plan, but neither was the sewer. None of this was a great plan, but Coop knew it was all they had. Sighing heavily, he looked over at Green, mulling over the options in their head. Try the sewers, where Ben was blind, and therefore so were they. They could lose the vamps there, but they may also get lost themselves. Or try the club, where the vamps absolutely would be, but Ben could see, and they roughly knew the layout of the battlefield. Also, their getaway car was nearby. Cooper wished there was a third option. Green was unaware of the escape options, or the problem of several enemy combatants rushing in on their location. Everything he had was focused on winning the tug-of-war against thick iron cemented into the wall. He heaved, straining and sliding against the dirt-covered concrete floor, but the metal never budged. Was the closed metal hook even bending? He'd accept even the smallest glimmer of hope at this point, a little trick of the light that showed any sort of progress. Beside him was Ryu, a scared little girl huddling under the dirty blanket. It was purely a precaution, but just in case he broke the wall or metal went flying, it was better than nothing. She was being brave, but he felt her fear, the cold, shivering emotion warming its way into his skin, trying to break through his concentration. It was difficult for him to ignore it, to not go and comfort her. But to do that, he'd have to stop fighting to get her free. He stopped for a moment, taking a few deep breaths before his aching muscles strained again. His palms were sweaty, sliding down the metal chains. He had to keep stopping to adjust his grip and rub his palms against his jeans. All the while, Ryu's fear lingered, tickling the back of his neck, gripping his spine in a cold vice, raising the hackles of the tiger within the jungle inside his soul. The tiger was tired but active, lending strength to the man, pushing the body's boundaries further than what was normal for a shifter male. Green was an alpha, and he was a tiger at that. He was stronger than the average shifter for those reasons and more, but this was a thick concrete wall encasing a thick, closed metal hook holding a thick metal chain. Green had his limits, and while he could be stronger by shifting into the tiger, he doubted Tiger Jaws could grip the chain any better. He'd likely screw up his teeth that way, and then Doc would have his head if he made it out of this alive. At this rate, Green wondered if he was ever going to get this girl out alive. Get out safe, I mean. No, don't think like that. Keep going, the tiger urged, snarling at the man's doubts. We are strong. We will win. But Green could feel the tiger's resolve waver at Ryu's next sniffles, the sharp scent of fresh tears emanating from under that blanket. A roar rattled his skull, and the tiger's resolve strengthened. Try it again. So Green heaved, nails sharpening and extending into his palms, the tiger pushing his influence into the man as far as he could without shifting completely. Green's feet began to slip, but he kept pulling. He felt his joints grinding in his shoulder, a weird creaking sound in his wrists. Pain snaked its way up his limbs as his entire body leaned backwards, pulling with everything he had against that stupid chain. Come on, Green, it's just a tug rope. Come on, not a big deal. Green gave a hard tug on the chain, throwing his body backwards, and his feet slipped on the concrete floor, flying up into the air as his broad shoulders slammed into the ground, followed by his head, smashing with a nasty smack into the concrete. The chain hit his gunshot wound as it collapsed on his midriff. A pitiful groan escaped him as his body recoiled in pain. Green? You good? Cooper called out, looking towards him with worry. It was all Green could do to raise his hand and give a thumbs up, nerves singeing with pain. By the wall, Ryu slowly showed her head, short black hair, a greasy mess all over her dirtied face. Her black eyes widened at Green's prone body. Are you all right, mister? She had her father's British accent, and it was that little reminder that gave him the strength to sit up. Yeah, I'm okay. Just hit my head a little. The floor's slippery. Green gave her a kind smile as he rubbed the swelling knot hidden by his brown locks, ruefully glancing around the floor. He didn't show the rage he felt at the small room, the dirty surroundings, or her clear mistreatment. Green didn't want her to be any more uncomfortable than she already was. Pronoun game. Ryu's eyes followed his gaze, bottom lip stuck between her fuzz-covered teeth. Mister? Am I gonna get out of here? I can't do a British accent, don't even ask. Green could only nod, his throat threatening to close on him with sudden emotion. Kids always said things straight, it was a fact. And that? That was one thing no kid should ever have to say. And the level of fear in her eyes he never wanted her to feel again. And she wouldn't. If he broke through this wall, got her back to her dad, finally convinced Adam to join his pack or accept help to run and hide somewhere, he and Ryu could be happy. Green just had to break through the wall. But Green wasn't strong enough on his own. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but his damaged pride meant fuck all compared to a child's pain. Green would do nearly anything to get her out of there. But he had an entire pack, no, family willing to help. And all he had to do was ask. It felt amazing to reach through the pack link, like warming oneself by a roaring fire from the cold, a warm bath to sore muscles and aching bones. Nearly 300 buzzing souls, but he just wanted a few. So ask. Hey Doc, are you awake? I need a big favor. Aggie was always up early, and so was her mate. They enjoyed morning coffee by sunrise. Sunrise had to be soon, right? Or maybe it was past? How much time had passed? Kieran, good morning. What do you need, son? To hear Doc's voice through the link lifted his spirits more than Green would admit. He should have asked for help so much sooner. I need some strength. I'm trying to pull a chain out of a concrete wall, and it's kicking my butt. And I don't have a lot of time. Green censored himself, knowing Aggie was around. He felt her there, just on the edge of the link, but she refrained from entering, giving them privacy. Immediately, Green felt a surge of strength come flowing through the link, energizing him and connecting with him. He felt Doc's spirit teetering on the edge, much closer than before, waiting patiently to join with Green, should Green allow it. The tiger purred when Green opened his mental gates, and Doc and his bear joined Green and his tiger. The bear's strength filled his lungs, muscles, his everything, just as Doc's presence filled his mind. It was almost like being smothered, but in a good way, like a weighted blanket. Green felt Doc's disapproval at his gunshot wound, knowing Doc felt Green's pain like he felt his own. You're not in great shape, Kieran. Doc was careful with how he put it, but Green winced mentally anyway, feeling chastised ever so slightly. With how joined they were, he could feel everything Doc felt, and vice versa. Green felt Doc's love for him pouring through, along with concern and helplessness. He knew Doc could feel his exhaustion, his mental scarring from the cursed beast, his leftover aggravation from winters, the confusion of feelings, his injuries, his everything. Doc had said it nicely, but Green knew he was an absolute mess right now, and there wasn't a single thing he could do about it. Well, Green could do about it, I guess. Green had found Ryu, and now he had to get her and Cooper out of the city safely. He just wasn't strong enough to do it on his own, and despite everything, admitting that felt like defeat. His father's words surfaced from a dark pit of memories, momentarily taking over everything. Boy, we are stronger than the rest. We are the leaders. We are the true alphas. We are blessed with this strength because we must shoulder the weight of everyone. We don't cry. We don't complain. We just lead. And sometimes you have to lead with an iron fist, but if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. If you aren't strong enough on your own, then you aren't my son. Do you understand me? Kieran had been 10 years old and had lost his first ever sparring match against another noble's son. His father had been drunk and angry, spiteful of his son's tears. The words had been delivered with spit and a bruising grip on his arms, bruises that hadn't faded for over a day. He had been sent to bed without dinner, and after that, his father had been a lot more strict with his education and sparring practice. It had taken Kieran 93 years to shed a single tear after that. The familiar burn of shame bubbled up within him, knowing there was someone else to witness his internal struggles. To see that Green wasn't the strong, fearless leader he tried to be. It was just Doc, a man that meant just as much to him as Cooper did. Someone Green could trust with everything, with anything. But it burned all the same. In the midst of his turmoil, he heard chains scraping against the floor and a small, timid hand touched his arm, just over his wrist. His eyes focused back on the world around him, momentarily leaving behind the strange euphoria of joined minds and spirits, seeing little Ryu giving Green a small smile filled with tears and bravery. She didn't say anything, but he could see her compassion shining through her hovering eyes, compassion she shared with her father. It was with that same gaze that Adam had rescued Green and Cooper for the very first time, seeing them huddled in the back of that warboat, frightened for the war they had suddenly been forced into. "It'll be okay, lads. I'll take care of you." And Adam had. Now it was time for Kieran to return the favor. So he gave her a little smile and patted her hand with his, feeling Doc's presence around them like a gruff but soothing bear hug. Kieran had never been a hugger before meeting Doc and Aggie, but now hugs were his unspoken favorite form of affection, even beating Aggie's buttermilk pies she knew he loved so much. With Doc with him, with his pack with him, Green could do this. He would get her home. "It'll be okay, Ryu. I'll take care of you." His words echoed those from so long ago, and somehow Green knew that he would. Let's face it, Kieran, it's not just us two dumbasses anymore. That damn coyote, always having to be a wise sage type. "No, Kieran, you two are not," Doc assured him, and he could feel the older man smile. "Although I wouldn't call y'all dumbasses, you boys are rather intelligent when you want to be. I mean, when Cooper isn't causing trouble." Green patted Ryu's hand and motioned for her to go back under the blanket, feeling re-energized enough to give it another try. Without much more than a wince, he rose to his feet, balancing on sore muscles. "I think both of you have caused enough trouble in the last week for the next few months, wouldn't you agree?" Doc chuckled good-naturedly, then continued. "I think Nash and McCormick are available and up to help. Let's get them joined up and get that little girl freed, Green grinned despite himself, knowing Doc was reading his mind. And he had been considering getting more than just a strong bear in this. Nash he trusted enough, but McCormick is not so bad. He just has temper problems. But we both know he doesn't want the alpha title, and he knows that his temper would ruin it." Doc gave him a little nudge through their link. "Just give McCormick a chance, Kieran. He might surprise you." Doc knew Green wasn't keen on everyone being joined up with him. That he was a very private individual who preferred to suffer alone. But desperate times called for desperate measures. "You're right," Green admitted, taking a deep breath. It was hard to be this vulnerable. But he didn't want to be his father, who never let anyone in. So it was time to let people in, even if it was exceptionally uncomfortable. Feeling Doc's assurance and quiet pride just made things easier, smiling eternally as Green reached out to Nash. Hey Nash, are you available? He knew the Ox was somewhere in Canada working on insurance claims. How you took a northern country boy who could turn into a giant ox and stick him in an insurance office and the result be a happy man was beyond him, but Nash genuinely enjoyed his work. Yo, Green! Long time no ping! What can I do for the esteemed Alpha, huh? Nash loved to tease Kieran all day long about that title. He never understood what was the big deal with titles and structure, but he was still part of the pack. For Aki's good cookin', Nash always said. I'm attempting to free a little girl chained to a thick concrete wall and there's no time to find the key. I need to brute force it. Can you help? Green knew that was all it was going to take for Nash to help. Playing tug-of-war with a concrete wall, eh? Yeah, I got some spare strength for you to borrow. Just do me a favor and go gore whoever did it to her after you get her safe, alright? Since I'm not physically there and all. Green felt Nash's mental presence shoving its way into his mind. Nash was a musk ox, and he didn't do anything subtle. His presence was loud, large, and all-consuming. Cooper also liked to whine that Nash's smell was musky, and that always led to the two of them bickering until someone broke it up. Now don't you start, Green, Nash huffed. It's way too early for that shizzle. We breaking some chains or what? Boys, come now, Doc hissed. Green resisted the urge to roll his eyes, picking up the chain. I'm not Cooper. I don't care what you smell like, Nash. And yes, in just a moment, I am asking one more person for some assistance. He felt Nash stretch, and somehow he could tell the ox was at some sort of breakfast buffet, absolutely pigging out. Green was slightly jealous. Well, good, Alpha, 'cause you are feeling a tad strung out over there. Who are you calling? McCormick. Have you met him yet? Nash had been gone a while, and McCormick had only just joined a year or so ago. Joined the pack, I should say. Nope. Well, you might in a minute. Then Green, feeling the time slipping through his fingertips, called to McCormick next. McCormick was the only one of the three men he had called on who actually shielded his link, and although Green could bypass it, he instead gave a mental knock, hoping McCormick would help and not ask any questions. And that McCormick wasn't going off to work yet. Alpha? McCormick was terse. Way too tense for this early in the morning. Green could feel the stress exuding from the link. McCormick, I have a situation. Can I get your help? I'm trying to yank a thick chain out of a concrete wall. Already have Doc and someone else in on it, but could use a little more assistance, I think. If Green wasn't in such a hurry, he'd be tempted to ask McCormick what was up with his tension so early in the morning. Yes, I'll call in. Are you sure? I may not need that. Green felt the connection sever. McCormick shutting it down himself. Irritation flared. Green took deep breaths to shove it out of his mind. Don't worry, Ryu. I will get you out of this mess in just a moment. I'm getting some help first. He surfaced just long enough to inform the waiting girl. Hey, Green, hurry up. Company is coming. Cooper called out by the door, and Sam waiting on Green to be done. The pressure was rising. This will be done in a minute, Cooper. He turned to give Coop a look. In that single glance, Cooper knew Green was getting assistance from the pack, and Green saw the urgency in Cooper's stance, which only spoke of trouble. McCormick did not take long, no more than a minute before Green felt his mental presence. McCormick didn't say anything, merely giving Green his and his wolf's strength. McCormick wasn't stronger than Doc's bear he wasn't stronger than Doc's bear or Nash's ox, nor was McCormick's presence very loud. Indeed, the man was but a whisper, only giving so much of himself to be joined with the other three men. Hang on. I hate, apparently, everything to do with pronouns. Unlike with Doc and Nash, Green had to concentrate to notice things about where McCormick was currently. But he didn't, knowing there was very little time, and also knowing that the man himself, and that McCormick himself, didn't want anyone to know. The wolf quietly slipped into the jungle with the ox, bear, and tiger, a lonely howl, joining the fray. Good morning, McCormick, Doc murmured quietly, everyone feeling the tone of the tether changing. Green grasped the chain, feeling the energy willingly given by the three men rushing through his bones, soothing his tired spirit, chasing away all pain and doubt. He could do this. He would do this. So Green planted his feet, getting a good footing amongst the grit and dirt, tightening his fingers around the warm, clammy chain, and cleared his mind, summoning the four animals waiting impatiently in the jungle. The tiger, bear, and Fox roared. The wolf howled. Together those 4 different sounds joined in harmonic melody, the sounds of nature creating a mystical spell of magic that only shifters could do. And with that, and filled with that melody and power, Green pulled, giving a strong tug at the wall with everything the 4 men had combined into one powerful heave. The thick, sturdy concrete wall did not immediately give up the chain. The chain didn't explode outward like in an action movie. There was not even a single noise, other than the sound of the man straining and the chain clinking loudly. But there was a small series of hair-thin cracks appearing around the chain hooked into the wall. Hope surged in Green's heart, adrenaline joining the rush of energy. "Hell yeah, Alpha! Do it again!" Nash exclaimed loudly, the ox's bellowing roar echoing his words. One quick breath and another harsh pull as he leaned back with his entire weight, every single iota of strength being used. The hair-thin cracks became thicker and more spread out. "You've got this, Kieran. Try it again," Doc encouraged him, the bear grumbling and growling softly. Green heaved, imagining that chain falling to the floor in defeat, manifesting the wall cracks getting bigger and bigger. And they were. It was working. This was working. The wall began to crumble around the hook. Green was going to get Ryu out of there. McCormick said nothing, but the wolf's ferocious howl, combined with the overwhelming surge of strength, made the last strong tug feel like gravy. The chain hook came popping out of the wall along with a bunch of concrete pebbles, collapsing to the floor just like the 3 men felt McCormick do in the safety of his own home. Instantly, Green, Nash, and Doc knew what McCormick had done. McCormick had foregone as much strength as he could, giving it all to his Alpha freely. His way of ensuring that Green had the strength to keep going and get that little girl home safe. Well, shit. Somebody better go check on him. Green, Godspeed and all that. Nash withdrew mentally at those words with a yawn, sipping more coffee. Doc, could you? Already heading over. I just hope he didn't give himself a concussion. If so, I might have to give him a proper lecture this time. Be safe, my boy, and get that little girl back to her father. Just make sure you and Charlie come back home in one piece too, alright? Good luck. Green didn't need to be told twice, immediately grabbing the chain with the concrete chunk and the little girl that was attached to the other end, all but chucking the blanket to the side. Okay, Ryu, you're free, Green assured her as best he could, wrapping the chain around his arm. We'll get this chain off soon, but we need to go. Can I carry you? It will be faster. In the distance, gunshots rang out like a stream of rapid gunfire, and Cooper started swearing into the phone. Ben, please tell me those weren't turrets. Ryu nodded with wide, fearful eyes. Green scooped her up and hurried out and through the safe door as Ben exclaimed, "Don't worry, I'm in control." Cooper winced. "For how long?" His free hand was clenching his sweaty hair. Long enough for you 3 to get back through the club? Unless you want to try the sewers, Cooper. Let's see here. Unless you want to try the sewers, Cooper? Lauren spoke up. The Ben? Oh, man. Yeah. The club is going to be filled soon. Everyone is almost there. You are out of time. Oh, Green, thank the mother! What took so long? Cooper hissed while giving Ryu a warm thumbs up. You try pulling a chain out of a wall, Charlie. What's the situation? Green said tersely, resisting the urge to snap at his childhood friend. It's bad, Cooper said, heading to the sewers. We have some company. Ben has control of turrets like it's Call of Duty or something. More streams of gunfire could be heard from above. It is nothing like COD, Cooper, Lauren said with slight heat, her gray eyes glaring at Cooper through the phone as he peered through the darkness. Sorry, was all Cooper said before chucking the phone to Green, who barely managed to fumble and catch it while still holding Ryu. Cooper, what are you doing? Ryu clutched the phone for Green, both of them watching the coyote shifter jump into the sewage river. Cooper yelped as it went up to his mid-thigh. Trying to see if we can escape through here? I thought I saw a metal door. As fast as he could, Cooper was trudging through the thick sewage. The smell perforating through his clothes, skin, and his everything. It was awful. Green narrowed his eyes into the darkness in the direction where Cooper was going. Yeah, I might see something. It was too dark and far away, but it could have been some form of a metal door or wall, maybe a gate. Green would have to get closer to see it, just like Cooper was doing. As Cooper trudged towards it, kind of hopping through the thick muck that was getting all into his shoes and squishing between his toes, Cooper really wished he had better vision. Like Superman's X-ray vision. That would be nice. Thankfully, he didn't have to go very far to see that it was a blocked metal door with a thin grate. Too thin for them to slip through, even while shifted, and they had no time to wrestle with the thick, rusted iron. The door looked like it only opened from the other side. There were no locks or even a handle on this side. Green, we can't get through. The door's one way only, I think, and that grate is too thin for us. We have to go through the club. Cooper started hopping back. Green called back an okay, most of his attention on the shaking, terrified girl in his arms. The chains were heavy with the concrete ball, and even though he was taking most of the weight, he knew she could feel some of it. Hey, Ryu, do you think you could shift for me? It would get you out of those chains. The girl was young, and young shifters tended to not have very good control of their shifts, but every now and then one youth was able to do it at will, not just through strong emotion. Then again, others were late bloomers, and their animals didn't show for several years, but if she could shift and shift back, she would be able to move so much better. He could give her his shirt, or Cooper would. The important thing was to get her to be able to move freely. Tears started falling down her face. She had been trying really, really hard not to cry, but at his words, the waterworks started. No, mister. I'm really sorry. I've only done it one time and it never happened again. Daddy says give it time, but it was scary. Green gently gave her a little hug as best he could as he cradled her little body in his arms. It's alright, Ryu. Shifts take some time to get used to, but we're going to get you back to your dad and he can help you with them. You might just need to get a little bit bigger, and there's nothing wrong with that. He wanted to add on that she wasn't broken, but he didn't. Some of the pack youth thought that of themselves, and he reminded them every day that they weren't broken. The shift would come when it did, just like puberty. It was a natural process that ran its own course. Ryu was a shifter. He could smell the owl under her skin clear as day. It would just take time. Cooper squelched as he clambered up to the concrete bank where Green stood, comforting the shaking girl. Okay, I'll go first. Watch out for the sewage strips. More gunshots rang out. Ryu squeaked. The two men spared one glance at each other. It was the look of two brothers who had seen battle more times than they cared to remember. Of lifetimes lived and fought for, almost died over. A look of love and brotherhood. Of a deep friendship that few would ever achieve in their lifetime. A look that said, fight the good fight, give them hell. Survive if you can. An understanding that one of them might not make it home. Ryu was the priority, and they would see to it that she got home. The moment was over when Ben spoke up quietly, stress permeating the phone line. They are trying to hack the turret system. If you two are going to move, do it quickly. They aren't sending people down into the basement, but there are quite a few surrounding the club exits. They appear to be waiting for reinforcements, or for the turrets to be back under their control. Got it. Thanks, Ben, Green said, watching Cooper start climbing up the ladder as fast as he could. Green put Ryu down, slipping the phone into his pocket for the moment. Okay, Ryu. Can you hold on to my neck? I think that's going to be the best way to do this, like a piggyback ride. She nodded, bottom lip quivering as she wiped the tears from her pale cheeks, clambering to hang on to him like he suggested. This way he still had the weight of the chains, but he could freely move up the ladder. Green waited until Cooper was near the top before beginning the ascent himself, heart thundering in his ears. Green didn't want to hear gunfire above his head. Green didn't want to see Cooper get shot. He didn't want to see his brother fall to the ground, blood coating the world in crimson. Green didn't want that last glance to be a goodbye. And nearly 2 hours later, we are done. that is that done. The early morning is done. Yeah. One thing I thought of, and I feel like I should have brought it up, is hang on here. Where was it? Have asked earlier. Yeah, the Ryu shifting thing. reading it through, I realize it's not very clear, but like, if she could shift, she would have. You know what I mean? Although technically, like, she wouldn't have been able to really shift, but I feel like she would have brought it up. But that's just not clear. So, like, as soon as he gets into the room, he should say something about that. So I just need to restructure a bit. Um, it is a hefty section, but again, I'm not doing chapters. Like, that's 3 or 4 chapters there, you know what I mean? But I'm doing periods of time. So that's the early morning from like 2 a.m. to just about like, it's kind of like 7-ish or 8-ish. It's getting there. Um, so like, again, the early morning. We went from having, fun little times with Cooper to creepy to tense to breaking a wall to, oh shit, we're going into war again. I'm almost tempted to like figure out a spot maybe to cut this in half, but I don't think I'm going to because it would mess with the tension. And also, like, I don't know where. I don't know where. There's nowhere, I feel like. Which is the problem with this. But you know what? We're just going to go with it. And the way I see it, y'all want to pause it anywhere? You are more than welcome. I did it. And I will have nearly 2 hours of blanket time, which I desperately need. So you know what? That'll work. Yeah. We are on page 137 out of 175. We are getting close, and next week I will play something else, probably Tenants again. I'll do a gameplay thing before we start the next. But we are going to Winters. She gets her own POV, and it is called A New Dawn. And hers is page 137 to 149. So we should just be able to get it done in one sitting. And yeah, the only thing I'm going to say is I hope y'all enjoyed it, one, but two, something that's been on my mind a bit is I'm a little worried that like people are going to really like Green and Cooper, but because of the prequel, because they're like the main characters of the prequel, they are in the main series, but the next book is mostly Winter's point of view. So I am a little worried about that. Like, I don't want people to be super disappointed. Green is in there, obviously. Cooper's there and stuff. Like, you do see them. She interacts with them. There's even some POV switches to Green, but like, it's literally called A Blank's Debt. Because I don't know if anybody's listening to this that doesn't know about my book or that, but like what she is in the title. So I should say a blank's dead. And the blank is her. So yeah. But yeah, so I'm a little worried about that. I kind of did it intentionally because it's like I don't want people. Nobody's perfect. She's got a lot of red on her ledger, but Green and Cooper aren't exactly 100% great either. Like, Green almost killed her. You know what I mean? So it's like, they're gonna be grumpy, awful, and just, oh shit, why is she back? Which I feel like is fair, but I don't want people to go, oh man, I don't like Winters. I mean, actually put it this way, I do, you could dislike her all you want, but like, I'm saying I don't want people to hate her. Like, that's not the purpose, but I can't control that. So it's like I feel like I'm also kind of setting up a disappointment. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm gonna stop blathering now. If you made it to the end of this, kudos to you. Go get a cookie. I hope y'all enjoyed it. And yes, it's going to be stressful for the rest of the time. Sorry. I had fun reading it though. So there's that. I have a lot to fix. But there's that. So thank y'all so very much for watching. Here's to hoping I get at least 5 rows on the blanket. Oh, man. That's gonna be fun to work on. I think I should get started tonight. I'm actually recording this on Friday, so there's that. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see whoever I see next time. Thanks for listening.